in the forests, in the campsites with the fans. So that was great, just gaining that understanding of why people love the same thing that we do.
I think the biggest thing that stands out to me about you, and the thing that I absolutely love, is your obvious and huge passion for F1 and motorsport in general. And it
Yeah.
seems that you've had that passion for a long time, because in the research that I was doing, I could see that in 2004 you travelled to all of the European F1 races in a campervan.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a bit more about why you decided to go ahead and do that?
So I'd always wanted to be an F1 journalist from like the age of 13. It was all I ever wanted to do. It was the year that Ayrton was killed, and my dad bought me my first copy of Autosport and Motoring News and all of that, and I knew then what I wanted to do. And I left uni and managed to blag myself a gig working for David Tremaine at Formula One magazine.
Right.
And a year and a bit into that, the magazine got shut down. It was literally like a week before Australia, a week before the first race. And the lawyers came in and said, that's it, Bernie's pulled the plug, game over. So I'm 23 and I've just lost my dream job. And my parents just said, look, you can't let it go. You've got to keep it going. And they lent me a bit of money, and I bought a camper van with it, and I just drove to all of the races in Europe and did that. Lived with the fans in the campsite, which was just, I mean, so much fun. And every day I'd kind of bring them back caps or t-shirts or whatever I could get from the teams. And it was wonderful because they'd ask every day, you know, what's going on in the paddock and what are the drivers really like and what's the vibe really like. And I kind of felt like I acted like a conduit of they were at the races, but I was kind of bringing them with me and allowing them into the paddock with me. And so every night I went back to the campsites, just, you know, regaling them with stories of, you know, of what the paddock was really like. And I hope that's kind of been at the basis of everything I've sort of tried to do since, which is kind of like bring everyone along for the ride. And because I you know, we're really lucky to kind of do that job and get that access and be that close. And Formula One was always so exclusive and elitist. I sort of wanted to just open it up and bring everyone with me.
Yeah, that's amazing. And with all that contact with the fans, did you learn a lot from just, you know, the questions that they were asking you and the information that they wanted to find out?
Oh, yeah, so much about what people really did want to know and what really interested people. You know, you have your own ideas about what interests you, but when you speak to people of different nationalities and what interests them, I got a much better handle on, you know, not just a British perspective, but sort of that international view of, and why they liked the sport. You know, what made them fall in love with it, what made them keep coming back. I mean, Germany in particular was fascinating, and I've always remembered really fondly staying in the campsites at Hockenheim and the Nürburgring. And you know, you forget that when Michael was coming up in the early 90s, you know, Germany had only just been unified. The wall had only just come down, and it was still quite scary for a lot of people, this notion of a unified Germany and people showing support for their country. You know, patriotism only goes so far before people become scared that it's bordering on nationalism, and then, you know, where nationalism goes when it goes to the extremes is even scarier. And particularly for Germany as a country, you know, just trying to get back on its feet, it was really worrying. And so rather than supporting Germany and getting crazy enthusiastic about Germany, they could get enthusiastic about Michael.
Right.
And that's why they would wave the Ferrari flags and the, you know, the Ferrari logo, you know, is black, yellow, red. They got to have their national colours, but they could cheer for Michael. They sung the Italian national anthem, but they changed the words to be all about Michael. So they had their own kind of little bit of pride in Germany through Michael. And I never knew that. I never realised that that's why he was as important as he was. I learned all that in the forests, in the campsites with the fans. So that was great, just gaining that understanding of why people love the same thing that we do.
Yeah, that's an incredible insight. And did you travel around each circuit and come back to the UK, or did you just do one massive tour for the whole year?
One massive tour. one
Wow.
massive tour.
I always think it's fascinating about racetracks. You know, I've been racing all my life and been lucky enough to go to many of the circuits, and you end up just knowing a very small part, but very well, of each separate country. And usually they're not in the places that you would typically go to, right? So it's fantastic.
They're not pretty parts of the countries. You know, if you base your knowledge of where the countries that you go to on the racetracks that you visit. Yeah, you think Japan and all of the beauty in Japan, and Suzuka is, you know, it's in this industrial heartland, you know, which is, it's not very nice looking. And we stay in Yokkaichi, which is a port town, and it's deadly. But it's fun. I've been to China how many times, and I've never seen the wall other than flying over it.
Yeah,
you know? It's vocation, not vacation, and that's.
Well, hang on a minute. Paul Ricard, Imola, they're not bad places to go.
So Ricard, oh man, spent so much time there in the GP2 days that at one point, you know, I was considering trying to find some ramshackle, beaten up, old, place that you could do up and have in the south of France, and never bit the bullet back in the early 2000s, but God, I wish I had, because now it would just be... Yeah, that's a beautiful part, absolutely beautiful part of the world.